Oh, is this the sub one? Please. Let's go! 55 seconds, boys. Alright, check out this tech, boys. Actually, this is the tech. We put this down before the domain starts. Boom. There we go. Boom, pop this. Get this. This is definitely another sub 1. Easy clapperones, boys. Easy clapperonis. Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. Today we're going to be talking about Albedo and why I am recommending that you get him right now. He is an amazing addition to any team for both offensive and defensive purposes. For defense, you have his E on top of an enemy. It will create a crystallized shield of the element that they are. So if you're fighting a cryo slime, you'll hit the E and it'll create a cryo crystallized shield, which will obviously give you more protection, and it has enhanced damage absorption versus cryo. And you can refresh it every 2 seconds, so it's pretty much infinite shields. And speaking of infinite, this man is basically a Geo Venti with the amount of energy that he can generate. For offensive purposes, you put down his E and swap to your main carry, and now they just do an extra instance of like 6 to 10k damage every 2 seconds, which is absolutely amazing. And if you pair him with our 4 pieces of Archaic Petra, you can constantly give your carry a 35% elemental damage bonus. And contrary to popular belief, this is super easy to execute. You simply hit the enemy with your carry, swap to Albedo, use his E, and then pick up the shard that's created from both elemental reactions, and then swap back to your carry and absolutely kill everything. The best part is that even if you do pick up a different crystal with your carry through other types of reactions, this will not override the buff. You only need to worry about what crystal Albedo picks up. So you simply cast your E, walk over to pick up the crystal, and then swap back to your carry. It's as simple as that. Other than that, his ult is a pretty strong nuke ability. It's only 40 energy and it has a 12-second cooldown, so doing 514% scaling damage every 12 seconds while also giving your whole team a 125 elemental mastery buff is pretty good. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the elemental mastery buff is kind of questionable since playing around elemental reactions with Albedo on your team is kind of tricky, but I literally beat floor 12 with Albedo on my team doing literally 0 reactions, and I got 8 stars. So, the best part of all of this is he can do all of it at Constellation 0. You do not need any Constellations on him whatsoever. If you do decide to go for Constellations though, they are insanely strong. If you get his Constellation 2, you'll want to build for full defense to maximize your E damage. And if you plan on getting Shell, his Constellation 4 is pretty insane. 30% damage to plunge attacks and this huge AoE is going to be nutty. And his Con 6 is just more damage no matter what type of shield you have. It's basically 17% more damage overall, which is quite a lot. But unlike Zhongli, he performs like a 5-star character without constellations or godlike artifacts. Now let's get into the build. First, let's talk about weapons. The best weapon to use on him, in my opinion, is the Skyward Blade. This gives you crit rate, it also gives you attack speed, and normal and charged auto attack damage after you ulti, which is pretty much always. This buff is pretty much permanent. And the substat is also energy recharge, and it has really high base attack. But this is only really the best option if you plan on using him as a main DPS. Otherwise, all of those stats, except maybe the crit rate and the energy recharge, are pretty wasted. So I really do not recommend that you use him as your main DPS, even though you absolutely can. You can make any character in this game a main DPS, but it's just not as effective as somebody else. For example, somebody who's already good at being a main DPS carry is just going to be better while they're attacking inside of Albedo's E. There's nothing Albedo can do better than what your main carry does already, so using him instead of them doesn't help at all. So honestly guys, there's a bunch of good weapons that are really good on him. You're basically looking for good stats and substats. You can use the Black Sword and the Black Cliff Sword to give you crit for your E, and if you're free to play, the Festering Fang is hands down the best option. If you don't have it yet, then you can use the Harbinger of Dawn, which gives you crit damage, and it gives you 28% crit chance while your HP is above 90%, and if you're using him as a support, that should be pretty much always. But me personally, I am using the Festering Fang because I'm already using my Black Sword on Keqing, and I'm already using Skyward Blade on Count Bennett. Now for artifacts, like I mentioned earlier, I am using 4 pieces of Archaic Petra, and this gives you 15% geo damage bonus, and it gives you 35% elemental damage bonus to whatever crystal you pick up with Albedo. And this is what I think is the best set for him. A lot of people are running him with 2 pieces of Archaic and 2 piece Noblesse, like Zhongli, but his ult doesn't scale nearly as hard as Zhong, and most of your damage is coming from his E while he is off the field. So if you take a look at the return on investment, you can use your ult every 12 seconds, and at level 6 it deals 514% damage. Your E can proc every 2 seconds, and at level 6 it deals 187% damage. So in 12 seconds you can proc it 6 times, which is 1122% damage. Plus the bonus 35% elemental damage bonus on your carry, it completely outdamages the 2-piece damage buff on Noblesse. Plus the blossoms that you get when you ult inside of your E do increase the damage of your ult overall, but since they spawn all over the damn place, they almost never actually hit all the enemies, or they don't hit the enemies that you hit initially with your ulti. So let's suppose at least 3 of them hit the enemy that you targeted with your ultimate. And then of course all of this is buffed by 20% from Noblesse. That's still 976.8% damage scaling, which is less than all the procs on your E with the bonus damage on your main DPS. So it's a nice bonus on top, and it's definitely viable, but I don't take it into consideration because of how inconsistent it is. So yes, 2-piece Noblesse is good, but I think 4-piece Archaic is better. As for your stats, you're going to want geo damage bonus on your cup no matter what, and for your hat, you're going to want whatever stat you're lacking. I made an in-depth video on how to determine what is the best stat that you personally should be running, so I'll leave a link to that in the video description, and I'll leave a little title card at the top right hand side of the screen, so you guys can go ahead and click on that right now. But as for your timepiece main stat, which seems to be the highest point of contention, what should you run? Attack or defense? If you run attack, you will be buffing your ultimate damage as well as the casting of your E, which you can do every 4 seconds. But if you run defense, you will be only increasing the damage of your E blossoms both normally and from your ulti. And since that is the main part of his kit that you will be utilizing, especially if you have Constellations, I think defense main stat is the best option. If you don't have a god roll defense main stat artifact in your timepiece slot, then just use an attack one. You're not really going to lose out on that much damage. So in reality, just use whichever artifact you get for your timepiece that has the best substats. Speaking of which, for substats, you're going to highly want to prioritize crit rate and crit damage, and after that you're actually going to want to prioritize defense percentage and attack percentage. After that you can get some energy recharge, and the rest of the stats are pretty bad. You don't want any of those stats, to be honest with you. Now let's talk about team comps. Like I mentioned earlier, he is the best on elemental damage focused main DPS carries like Diluc, Klee, Keqing, Child, Ningguang, Official, Chongyun, and even Noel. So he does benefit those the most since you want to make use of the elemental damage bonus from Petra. But another thing about him is that he can pretty much just fit into any team comp. He just makes whatever your main DPS is better, and there is almost no situation where he's a bad choice. His only apparent weakness is that he really cannot deal with elemental shields himself, which is pretty ironic. But yeah guys, that is my Albedo build. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. I think Albedo is absolutely amazing. I ran him in both my first and second party on different runs in Abyss, and pretty much bulldozed through floor 12 with 8 stars consistently every single time, with literally no elemental reactions. And above all, I think he's just really satisfying to play. He's visually pleasing. Overall, he just looks really nice. His animations feel really good. His auto attack cancel just feels amazing. So I really like him, and I highly recommend that you guys go and pull for him. Anyway guys, that's it for me. I want to thank all of my patrons for their continued support. I really do appreciate it. It helps me out a ton, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.